All right, let's go now to Natasha Perry, SABC News politics reporter. She is at the funeral service for us, and I understand that she's standing by with Minister Ronald Lamola. Natasha?
Well, thank you so much, Griselda. Of course, what we saw there was the funeral service of the late Ambassador Mahlangu. Of course, friends, family, and those from his political home just bidding farewell to him. But Griselda, before they actually leave for his final resting place, like you've correctly cited, I'm joined by Minister Ronald Lamola. And Minister, before we, speak about the life and the legacy of the late Ambassador Mahlangu, you probably know, that the U.S. President Donald Trump has now announced that he won't be coming for the G20 to South Africa. Just your initial reaction to that?
We welcome the fact that he has assigned or appointed his Deputy President JD Vance to be the one who attends the G20 in South Africa. And that is a welcome development because the U.S. can assign anyone that the President Trump deems necessary, and we welcome them. We look forward to interact with him in the platforms of the G20.
Do you think his non-attendance is an indication that he's not happy with us? You know that both our countries somewhat have a strained relationship.
That is for him to state. For us, we welcome that JD Vance has been assigned, but we also know that he is also reluctant to travel long distances, as you are aware. But I believe the White House can shed light on his reasons, but we welcome the fact that JD Vance is coming, and we look forward to interact with him in the G20 platform, and we believe that the G20 will still be able to produce the ambitious outcomes.
So you don't think that this is a sign of him undermining our country's sovereignty?
No, we don't want to be in any conspiratorial or second guess, but we welcome the fact that JD Vance is coming, and we have always said that whoever they assign to come to the G20, we will welcome them, and it will still make the G20 to be successful.
And just lastly, on the life and the legacy of the late Ambassador Mahlangu, I mean, you come from the same home province as him. What have you learned from his life? Especially, I mean, he's a man who's been lauded as a diplomat extraordinaire.
Yeah, he has been able to transcend from being a parliamentarian into a diplomat, saving South Africa's national interest in the U.S. The first, when President Trump, the first term of President Trump, he was our ambassador in the U.S. And he helped us to navigate, even to deal with the false narrative that there is persecution of white Afrikaners in South Africa. It started during his term, and he worked to demystify that myth. And even in Kenya, he was a well-respected High Commissioner of South Africa in Kenya, linking with all stakeholders in the Republic of Kenya. He strengthened our relations with Kenya. He was also a permanent rep to the UN there in Kenya. So he has played a huge role. And one of his last deeds was to help Home Affairs process the 31 Kenyan nationals that were applying for visas to come and run the resettlement program. And he's the one who then advised us of the issues at hand. And for that, his role as an ambassador has been outstanding. He was a distinguished diplomat whom you will not have seen that he started by being a parliamentarian. And he respected his peers and colleagues. Some of them are people he served with in parliament. He did not say, I'm senior to anyone. He served without any reservations. And
it's quite interesting that between the period of 2015 and 2020, he was the U.S. ambassador. He was the South African ambassador to the U.S. When relations were somewhat good. Years down the line, seems as if there's still those strained relations between South Africa and America. Will the two nations ever rebuild, the relationship they once had?
Yeah, South Africa has always said we view the U.S. as a strategic partner. We are not an aggressor in this case. As you are aware, we have always been amenable. But everything has come from Washington with regards to challenging domestic issues, BEE, issues related to affirmative action, issues related to how we are handling them. And I think our own systems, our own constitution has got enough safeguard to enable South Africans to resolve whatever issues that arise. And you have seen even our courts can deal and resolve any challenges. There is no need for any external player to help us resolve these challenges. So we will continue to drive this message to the US that there is no strained relations. If they just allow South Africa to run its affairs and we engage with the mutual respectful engagements between the two countries, we believe the relations will continue to be strengthened and will move from strength to strength, because this partnership for us is important. It helps us, it's mutually beneficial on both sides. There's more than 600 companies from the US invested in our country, MultiChoice, Coca-Cola, you name them, and a lot of them. And South Africans appreciate their contribution to our economy, including the jobs that they have injected into our society.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. Let me not keep you, because Griselda, he has to go to the cemetery. But of course, just reacting to that news first on SABC News, that US President Donald Trump saying that he won't be attending the G20 to be held in November, but of course his deputy JD Vance will be attending. And of course, Minister Ronald Lamola saying that they accept and they acknowledge, they welcome that announcement. And in his view says that his non-attendance, Trump's non-attendance, does not mean that he undermines, the country or South Africa hosting the G20.